So far, we have looked at gaining information from a given equation. Now, instead of we're going to take some information and change it into an equation or use it to write an equation, we are going to need two things to write an equation. You're going to hear me say this over and over again through the remainder of the unit, and those two things that we are going to need are a slope and a point. We are also going to need something called point-slope form or point-slope formula. It is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is a formula you will have to memorize, so please make sure you have it down in your notes as something to use during homework time as well as something to study. M, as before, refers to the slope. Just like when we use the formula for a slope, x1 is going to be the x value of our given point and y1 is going to be the y value of our point. What point, you may ask? The point that we need in order to write an equation. X and y, so the ones without the subscripts, are going to just stay variables. This is a very important concept. We use it all the way through calculus. These are the steps we're going to use. So we're going to have four main steps. We'll first find the slope. It may just be given to us. We may be told what the slope is, or we may have to use our slope formula. Then we're going to plug the slope and the 1 point, whether we're just only given 1 point or if we're given 2 points, we'll just pick 1 point, into the slope formula written above, the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Then we'll go ahead and distribute that slope in, and then add or subtract to get it in y by itself, to get it in y equals mx plus b form. So let's go ahead and look. I believe there are 3 examples. So I want to write an equation with a slope of -1 passing through the point 1, 5. So step 1 tells me to find the slope. Well, that's easy. I was given it. It's -1. Then I'm going to go ahead and move to step 2, where I'm going to plug the slope and 1 point into my point slope formula. So I'm going to plug -1 in for m, and I'm going to plug 1, 5 in for x1, y1, giving me y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Step 3 tells me to distribute. Well, the only thing I have to distribute is that -1, giving me y minus 5 equals -x plus 1. And then finally, the last step, it tells me to add or subtract to get y by itself. Well, in order to get rid of that -5 and get y by itself, I'll go ahead and add 5 to both sides, giving me y equals -x plus 6. And there's my final answer. Going ahead and looking at example 2. I'm going to do the same thing. So step 1, I have to find the slope. Notice in this one, I wasn't given the slope. I was given 2 points. I was given in x1, y1, and in x2, y2. So I can now use my slope formula and find that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, giving me 1 over 1, which reduces to just 1, because even though I like fractions, I prefer to deal with whole numbers. And now step 2, I'm going to plug in my m for m, and my x1 and y1 for x1 and y1. And again, x and y, remember, remain variables, giving me y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Step 3, I'll distribute the 1. Of course, distributing a 1 doesn't really do anything, so I'll have y minus 7. However, it does allow me to get rid of the parentheses. And then I'll add 7, giving me y equals x. -5 and 7 is a positive 2, because again, remembering sign belongs to the number. Looking at one more example, if you feel like you're understanding this, example 3 would be a great one for you to try. And I can no longer see my steps, but they should still be in your notes. So first thing I'm going to do, again, feel free to pause the video and try it on your own first. First thing I'll do is find slope. So I'm going to say I have x1, y1, x2, y2, and use my slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I get -6 over -2, which I know reduces to just 3. Now that I've found my slope, I'm going to plug slope in for m and my x1 and y1 in for x1 and y1, giving me y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Step 3 tells me to go ahead and distribute, leaving me with y minus 16, 3x minus 45, and for my final step, I'll go ahead and add that 16 to both sides, giving me y equals 3x, and doing just a little bit of scratch work because I'm not quite sure what negative 45 and 16 is. Big number minus small number. Keep the sign of the bigger number. So I get y equals 3x minus 29. So again, in order to write an equation, you need two things, a point and a slope. You may just be given the slope, or you may have to find it with a formula. Then you're going to go ahead and plug into the point-slope formula, distribute, and then change it to y equals mx plus b form by getting y by itself. Make sure you have these steps written down somewhere and that you bring them with class to use as a tool when you're completing your practice.